excited to tell them what you read? Oh, Percy, you're such a good reader. Long. He doesn't like it. Hello, and welcome back to my channel with a very special guest by the name of Percival Potter, who decided to join the video for today. I didn't realize St. Patrick's Day was literally in like 2 or 3 days. I can't remember how many days, but it's sooner than I thought. I thought it was like a week away. So happy almost St. Patrick's Day. We're well into March. I figured now would be the perfect time to film a what I read in February video. I was going to do January and February, but that would have been a much too long video and I don't have the patience to film a super long video, so figured I would keep it just to February, and my associate is leaving me. So I read 5 books in January. What?
Ariana, what are you doing here?
It seems like every cat in my household wants to be a special guest in this video, so Chimichanga is going to join us as we talk about the 5 books I read in February. Starting off strong with an enemies to lovers workplace romance written by a local author. I read Let's Call a Truce, and this is the one that I'm letting slip by on a technicality because I technically finished this on the last day of January, but it was so good I had to include it in my February wrap-up. Let's Call a Truce is written by Amy Buchanan, who is a local author, and the book is based in Orlando, which is so unique because how many books can I name that are based in Orlando? Like a handful. This is everything that The Hating Game wanted to be. It is about a widowed mom with 2 daughters named Juliana. She decides to go back to work at this big company that is in Orlando. She has a very bad run-in with one of her future colleagues. They get off on completely the wrong foot, and then we do kind of like a time skip a couple years later, and they still have to work together, but they are put on a really big project together, and it kind of goes from there. I had such a great time listening to it. I listened to the audiobook, and I really enjoyed the narration for this. I gave this about, I think, a 4.5 or 5. I can't remember. And Amy, if you're watching this, I love your book and I love you, and I would recommend this to anyone. Next up, I read one of the hottest new releases of this year, which was Ali Hazelwood's Deep End. Now let me preface by saying I am not a big Ali Hazelwood fan, and that's not because of anything that she's done. I actually think she is such a cool, funny person. She seems like such a joy to be around. I read The Love Hypothesis and I hated it. But we've only gone up from there, so I'm continuing to be hopeful. I also read Bride and I gave that 3 stars, and Deep End I gave 3.5. So we're moving up. Scarlett is a diver and Lucas is a very famous swimmer, also famously known for dating one of the girls on Scarlett's team named Penelope. Penelope and Lucas are trying to break up, but it's proving to be very difficult, so Penelope decides to, after they're broken up, set Lucas and Scarlett up because they're into the same stuff in bed. I gave it a 3.5 because I hated how Scarlett handled the ending without saying too much. There is an issue that crops up near the end that the way she handled it really grinds my gears, and I can't say I was a fan. I thought it was very cowardly, but maybe that's a hot take. Can I help you? I'm interested to see what else Ali Hazelwood has in store. I am coming around to like her more and more, but The Love Hypothesis really was not a good start for me, so I'm hoping that we can improve. The next book I read was a book club pick for my fiction book club called The Violin Conspiracy. The Violin Conspiracy is about this black violinist who is very well acclaimed, and it's written by Brendan Slocumb, who himself is a violinist, so I thought that was really cool. It's about this violinist named Ray who gets his violin stolen one day in New York City, I believe it is. And it's dual timelines, so we go from the past and start in the future and kind of meet in the middle, and I absolutely adored it. I thought it was so well done, so well crafted, and obviously integrates a lot of nuance about being a black man just in society, but also in the orchestral world. I just really enjoyed the story. I thought it was so interesting and such a very well done take on music. As someone who doesn't know a whole lot about music in this way, I was so invested in the story the whole time, and I thought it was really well done, and my whole book club really liked it too. Brendan Slocumb also has a book coming out, I believe in May, or I know it's soon, called The Dark Maestro, which I'm very interested to read based off of how much I liked The Violin Conspiracy. I gave it like a 4.75. The ending had me a little miffed, I think, so that's why I kind of knocked it down a little bit, but I really enjoyed it. The next book I read was a reread in anticipation for one of my most anticipated releases of the year, which is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. The third book just came out, and hear me when I say this. If you are not on the Legendborn train, or you have not gotten on the Legendborn train, you're missing out. You need to board immediately. Get your ticket, pack your suitcase, get on the train. This series is phenomenal. Legendborn is a young adult fantasy series with a melting pot of so many different things that are so universally loved. It's King Arthur retelling / folklore. I wouldn't go as far as to say a retelling, more so the magic system is inspired by King Arthur folklore, so it transcends description, okay? We follow this girl named Bree, who is 16 years old, and her mom just passed away. She just enrolled in the same early college program that her mom went to way back when. Obviously recovering from the grief of losing her mom, she's kind of in this weird space. So her and her best friend, who is also going to the early college program in North Carolina, I believe it is, or South Carolina, one of the Carolinas, they go to this little function at this cliff side. All of the cool college kids are going. Bree, in a little kerfuffle, sees something that she feels like she shouldn't have seen, which is this mysterious guy who's all edgy and cool casting magic. And she's like, wait. Obviously she doesn't know it's magic at the time, but she sees something crazy, and she's like, that's crazy. The guy, who we later find out his name is Cell, tries to make her forget what happened, and then she doesn't. And of course it goes beyond that, and so on and so forth. Right now it's a trilogy, but it's going to be a 4-book series, and the third book, Oathbound, just came out in March. Tracy Deonn wrecks me. I've read the prologue of Oathbound, and I had to put it down because I was so, like, my heart was gonna hammer out of my chest. I love this series with all my heart. 5 stars. If you have read Legendborn and you think a lot happens in that book, Bloodmarked, crazy. Every single chapter something happens, and I had just read that right before Oathbound came out, so obviously now I'm gonna get into Oathbound, but I'm scared. I'm terrified, okay? I'm not the first one to admit it. I'm scared. Oh, goodness. I saw today on the weather app on my work computer that tomorrow the pollen is going to be exponentially higher, so maybe that is cause for my sneezing. The final book that I had read in February was yet another book club pick. It was Phantasma by Kaylie Smith. This had me written all over it. I love a white / silver-haired love interest. Sign me up. Immediately. Sign me up. Phantasma is a dark gothic romantasy where a girl and her sister enter these series of very horrific games in this house called Phantasma. The main girl, named Ophelia, once she enters the game, she enters because she's looking for her sister, who she assumes and is led to believe also entered the games. So her motivation to get through this horror house is to find her sister. Throughout doing that, she meets this specter named Blackwell, or phantom ghost of some kind, who proves to be very helpful in her trials. let me tell you, Blackwell, smash. Next question. The vibes of this were so good. It's also based in New Orleans, which I thought was really, really cool, and the author did some really cool stuff with that. The second book to this is, I actually don't know when it's coming out. I'll have to fact check that or put it somewhere on the screen. But I do have the digital arc for it. I think I gave it 4 stars is what I settled on, because there are certain aspects of it, especially the ending, which I thought were sort of rushed and just not as well thought out as I had hoped they were going to be, or flushed out, I guess is a better word. I did really, really enjoy all of the trials though. There were some really, really gruesome ones that I pictured so vividly in my mind, so the author did a really good job with describing those scenes. The romance is so good. It is surprisingly smutty. I knew it was, but I was just like, you know, in the middle of a game of life or death, yeah, you have time to have some fun on the side, especially if the fun is with a phantom white-haired guy. So, you know, there's also a cat character in this, and I can appreciate a good cat character. That's everything I read in February. If you want to keep up with what I'm currently reading or other fun things like that, you can check out my Instagram, which is linked down below in the description, or also in the description of my channel. I always keep it there. If you didn't catch my introduction to booktube, or a kind of review rather of some of my favorite books, that is my last video, which I will figure out how to link somewhere in this video when I'm clicking around in editing, so we'll figure that out. That is everything I have for you today, so until next time, I will see you later. Sit with you? Okay. You can sit with me. Just chill. Okay. No, all right. Yeah, go all over the microphone.